Have you ever felt the weight of solitude pressing down on you? The silence echoing louder than any crowd? In those moments, it's easy to believe that being alone is a weakness. But what if I told you that solitude is not a void to be filled, but a space where strength is forged? In a world that constantly seeks validation from likes, shares, and comments, standing alone can feel like rebellion. Yet it's in this rebellion that true self-discovery begins. When the noise fades and you're left with your thoughts, that's when you meet the real you. Think about the greats, those who changed the world. They weren't always surrounded by applause. Often they stood alone, driven by a vision only they could see. Their solitude wasn't loneliness, it was a crucible for greatness. So if you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the silence. Sit with it, embrace it, let it teach you. Because in that stillness, you'll find clarity, you'll find purpose. You'll find the unshakable belief that you are enough. Remember, the journey to greatness isn't a group expedition. It's a solitary path walked by those brave enough to face themselves. So, stand tall in your solitude. Let it be the foundation upon which you build your legacy. There's a certain kind of silence that only the truly determined know. It's not the kind of silence you find in a library or a peaceful retreat. No, this is the silence that follows when the doors close, when the friends disappear, when the support system breaks down, when no one calls, no one asks how you're doing, no one checks in. It's just you, your thoughts, your fears, your doubts, and your choice. That kind of silence, it's not for the faint of heart, but it builds something stronger than comfort ever could. It builds resilience. See, loneliness isn't always a curse. Sometimes it's preparation. It's the quiet before the transformation. You're not being punished. You're being shaped, sharpened, strengthened. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid being alone. They jump from person to person, job to moment to moment, just to avoid sitting with themselves. But let me tell you something powerful. Those who can sit with their pain, their confusion, their emptiness, those are the ones who come out on the other side with fire in their eyes and steel in their spine. Because when you're forced to face yourself with no one to lean on, you learn the truth of who you are. And let's be honest here, sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes you see the insecurities, the past regrets, the things you're not proud of. But that's okay. Growth doesn't come from hiding those parts. It comes from acknowledging them, working through them, and deciding to rise above them. Let me ask you, have you ever cried in a room by yourself? Not a gentle cry. I mean one of those deep, guttural, soul-shaking cries that leaves you gasping for air, wondering how life ended up this way. If you've been there, I see you, and if you're there right now, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You're becoming. This is not your destruction. This is your awakening. You're not weak because you feel pain. You're strong because you're still standing. Because even when life hits you with everything it had, you got up, maybe slowly, maybe shakily, but you got up, and that makes you a warrior. Now, you might not see it right now. You might feel like your world is in pieces, but sometimes things have to fall apart for us to rebuild them the right way. Sometimes the support we thought we needed had to be removed so we'd learn to stand on our own. Not out of spite, but out of destiny. You were not born to blend in. You were born to lead, and leaders often walk alone. Think about it. When an eagle flies to its highest altitude, it flies alone. No flocks, no formations, just the wind and the sky. The higher you go, the fewer people can come with you. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're aligning with your purpose, with your potential, with the version of you that doesn't need permission to shine. But here's the thing, standing alone doesn't mean you close yourself off from people forever. It means you stop waiting for people to carry you. It means you start carrying yourself. It means you trust that the right people will meet you on the path, but they're not the destination. You are. Let's get something straight. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will cheer you on, and that's okay. You're not here for their approval. You're here for your calling. And that calling, it doesn't come from the crowd. It comes from deep within you. That voice inside of you, the one that whispers, "You can do this," listen to it. Because that voice, that's your inner warrior speaking. It's the part of you that refuses to give up, that dares to dream, that believes even when no one else does. You don't need applause to validate your effort. You don't need followers to prove your worth. You just need to show up for yourself every day, even on the days you don't feel like it, especially on those days. Discipline is doing it without applause, without support, without visible results. It's waking up and deciding that today, again, you will not quit. You will not fold. You will not shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. And let's not sugarcoat it. It's hard, it's lonely, it's exhausting. But it's worth it, because one day you'll look back and see that the very moments you thought were breaking you were actually building you. You'll remember the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still got up the next day. You'll remember the days you wanted to quit, but you chose to keep going. You'll remember standing alone and realizing that actually, you never needed anyone to save you. You saved yourself. That's power, and no one can take that from you. So breathe, wipe your tears, square your shoulders, and take that step. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move forward, one step at a time. You've already survived the worst days of your life. You've made it through every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment, and you're still here. That's not luck. That's strength. That's grit. Don't downplay your survival. Don't minimize your comeback. Own it. You're not the same person you were a year ago, a month ago, even yesterday. You're evolving, you're learning, you're rising. And sometimes rising looks like crawling, like inching forward, like just making it through the day. That's okay. Progress is progress. And today I need you to believe this with everything in you. You are not alone. You may feel isolated, you may feel misunderstood, but somewhere in the world, someone is cheering for you, even if you can't hear them yet. Somewhere, someone is inspired by your fight, even if they haven't told you. Somewhere, your story is becoming someone else's survival guide. But first, you have to live it. So don't give up now. You've come too far. And the best chapters of your life, they're still being written. You've probably heard it before. Don't seek validation from others. But let's be honest, it's easier said than done, right? From childhood, we're conditioned to seek approval, a gold star for good behavior, a pat on the back when we meet expectations, a like on our post to feel seen. But the danger is, the more we rely on external validation, the more we lose connection with our inner truth. What happens when the applause stops? What happens when the people you tried to impress no longer care? What happens when your effort goes unnoticed? If your worth is tied to how others perceive you, then your confidence becomes as fragile as their attention spans. And you deserve more than that. You deserve stability. You deserve inner peace. You deserve to know who you are, even when no one else is clapping. Let's break something down right now. You were not born to be everyone's favorite. You were born to be free. Free from the opinions of others. Free from chasing approval. Free from adjusting your personality just to be accepted. Because the moment you start watering yourself down to fit in, you begin to lose your flavor, your spark, your essence. You start playing small, and the world doesn't need more people playing small. It needs more people playing real. Let's talk real. Let's talk raw. You might be in a season right now where people don't understand you, where your dreams seem too big, too ambitious, too unrealistic. You might feel invisible. You might feel overlooked. But just because they don't see your value doesn't mean it's not there. Diamonds are formed under pressure, buried deep underground, unseen, unappreciated for years. But that doesn't make them any less valuable. Same with you. You're evolving underground, quietly, powerfully, and when your time comes, you won't need to announce it. Your growth will speak for itself. But you've got to stop living for the likes, for the praise, for the nods of approval that may never come. Because here's the raw truth. Not everyone is going to clap when you win. Some people will envy your growth. Some will resent your healing. Some will question your joy. And you know what? That's okay. You're not here to impress them. You're here to express you. When you stop seeking permission to shine, you unlock a level of peace most people never taste. That's when you wake up and you don't need a good job to feel good. That's when you create, speak, move, live. Not because you're trying to prove something, but because it's who you are. Let me tell you this, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Not your parents, not your friends, not your followers, not your critics. You only need to prove it to yourself. That you can show up when it's hard, that you can believe when it looks bleak, that you can walk into a room with your head held high even if no one greets you. It's called self-worth for a reason. It comes from within. People will project their own fears onto you. They'll say, "That's impossible," when they really mean, "It was impossible for me." Don't take on their limits. Don't inherit their doubts. Your journey is unique. Your pace is valid. Your purpose is sacred. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Their applause may be loud, but your silence can be deeper, richer, and more transformative. Because silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. And when you stop asking the world who you are, you start hearing your own voice again. Do you know how powerful that is? To wake up and know that you are enough without needing to check your notifications. To walk into a room and not shrink just because someone more popular showed up. To follow your dream even if no one believes in it yet. That's power, that's freedom. And here's the wild part. When you stop needing validation, you attract respect. When you stop chasing attention, you gain admiration. Because people can sense authenticity. They are drawn to those who are real. Not perfect, real. So don't be afraid to lose followers if it means finding yourself. Don't be afraid to disappoint others if it means being true to who you are. Don't be afraid to walk alone if that's the path that leads to your purpose. Your worth is not up for debate. It doesn't rise and fall based on opinion polls. It's rooted in your being, not your doing. So breathe. Stop over-explaining. Stop apologizing for evolving. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. If you're healing, keep going. If you're dreaming, don't stop. If you're rebuilding, trust the process, even if nobody sees it yet. Because one day they'll look at you and say, "Wow, how did you do it?" And you'll smile, not with arrogance, but with peace. Because you'll know you stopped waiting for them to believe in you. You started believing in yourself, and that made all the difference. Let's talk about quitting. Not the kind where you slam the door and announce it. Not the kind where you scream, "I'm done," in front of everyone. I mean the quiet quitting, the kind where your soul whispers it in the dark. When no one's watching and the exhaustion is deeper than your bones. When every step forward feels like dragging a boulder. When you smile in public, but inside you're numb. When you've poured everything into your dream and all you're left with is silence. No results, no reward, just emptiness. That's the kind of quitting that kills more dreams than failure ever will. Because the truth is most people don't quit because they're weak. They quit because they're tired. Tired of the wait, tired of the waiting, tired of fighting battles no one sees. But listen closely now. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to pause. But you are not allowed to quit. Not on your purpose, not on your growth, not on your future, not on yourself. Because the moment you quit, you silence the very stories someone else needed to hear. You abort the mission that was designed for you and only you. You delay the destiny that generations are waiting on. You give your pain permission to win, and it doesn't deserve that victory. Your life is not some meaningless accident. Your struggle is not random. Your survival is not irrelevant. It all matters, but you have to make it mean something. You have to decide that this pain won't be for nothing. You have to decide that the lessons you're learning in the dark will serve you and others in the light. Let me remind you of something powerful. Champions are not born. They are built. Built in silence. Built in setbacks. Built in heartbreak. Built in failure. Built in rejection. Built in long nights and early mornings. Built in the moments when everyone else walks away and they keep standing. Because a true champion doesn't just win when it's easy. They keep showing up when it's hard. They train when they're tired. They speak truth when it's unpopular. They keep going when nobody's watching. That's the mindset of a warrior. That's the soul of a survivor. Let me ask you something. When did you stop believing in yourself? Was it after the first failure? The 10th? The betrayal that blindsided you? The illness you didn't expect? The job that let you go? The relationship that broke you? The opportunity you missed? You stopped not because you couldn't keep going, but because you started believing the lies. Lies that said you weren't good enough. That said it's too late. That said people like you don't succeed. That said your dream is foolish. Let me tell you something that may just change your life. Those lies are terrified of your potential. They are afraid of what happens when you stand back up. When you decide that failure is not your identity, when you stop playing small and start acting like your future matters. Because it does. More than you know. The person you're becoming right now, they're stronger than your past. They're wiser than your mistakes. They're more powerful than your pain. But you have to keep showing up. Not just for the big moments, but for the boring ones, the hard ones, the invisible ones. Because consistency builds strength, and strength builds momentum. And momentum carries you through the moments when motivation can't. You won't always feel fired up. You won't always wake up inspired. But if you wake up disciplined, you'll win. That's the mindset that separates the dreamers from the doers. Not talent, not luck, not even intelligence. Discipline, grit, refusal to quit. You may not be the most talented, but you can be the most determined. You may not be the fastest, but you can be the one who never stops. You may not be the loudest, but you can be the one who gets the last word through action. So let's make a decision right now, right here. Say it with me. I will not quit on myself. Say it again. I will not quit on my growth. Say it one more time. I was not made to shrink. I was made to rise. Let that sink in. Your story has not been easy, but look at you. You're still breathing, still moving, still fighting, still learning, still becoming. You are proof that broken things can still function, that torn hearts can still beat, that weary souls can still rise. This is not the end, it's a turning point, but only if you choose it. So here's what I want you to do. 1. Stop apologizing for your past. It shaped you, but it does not define you. 2. Stop comparing your journey. Your race is yours. Own every mile. 3. Start moving your feet again. Even if they're heavy, even if it's slow, forward is forward. 4. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Start with what you have. Right now, in this moment, your next chapter doesn't need permission. 5. Believe again. In your voice, in your vision, in your power. 6. Set the world on fire, not to impress, but to impact. Because you are no longer the version of yourself that needed saving. You are the version that saves others. Through your story, your scars, your strength. And if you ever doubt it again, come back to this truth. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out. So stand tall, even when you're shaking. Stand firm, even when the ground feels unstable. Stand proud. Even when your past tries to shame you, stand bold, even when fear whispers, what if you fail? And if you must stand alone, then stand magnificently alone. Because one day when the crowd gathers, when the world takes notice, when the lights finally shine your way, you'll know the truth. You didn't just survive, you conquered. You didn't just rise, you transcended. You didn't just make it through, you made it count. So now the final command I leave with you, etched into your bones and burned into your soul, stand, rise, conquer, repeat. Because the world hasn't seen your final form yet, but it will. And when it does, they'll ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile because you'll know you did it when no one was watching. You did it when no one believed. You did it when you stood alone, and that changed everything.